Well, welcome back, everyone. We have spent the last couple of months really talking to superintendents and leaders at different school districts all around the state about how they plan to welcome children back in the fall, or whether or not there will be a bit of a delay. So this morning we are chatting with Dr. Betsy Hargrove. She's superintendent of Avondale Elementary School District. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So you all commissioned a study there in the district, which I want to commend you for, because I think that's what a lot of districts should do, reaching out to their families. What did you find with this study?
So we really felt that we needed to get beyond our internal people when we were considering coming back to school, and how do we ensure that we have the safest environment possible. And so what we found is that while we did an amazing job putting together a plan and developed processes to implement in our district, we wanted to have an expert opinion take a look at that. So we have the experts from Barrow's Neurological Institute. We have researchers from ASU who took our plan, had plans that they had already developed, and they married the two to be able to ensure that we had the best set of circumstances and the best learning environment and the safest learning environment for our staff and our families to return in the fall.
That's very smart, Dr. Hargrove. What did you find with the how you need to set up the school system in order to welcome those children back?
Literally, we had to consider everything. So we're talking from receiving children on our buses to bring them to school. What do we do when we receive them at our school site? So if a child rides their bike or gets dropped off by their families, what happens in the classroom? How do we transition kids? So some of the key takeaways were definitively universal masks. So when children and adults do not have the opportunity within a physical space to be socially distanced, for instance, during transitions to go pick up lunch, to go back to their classrooms, and to do that, then masks are an absolute must. Obviously, on a bus, things such as that. The other thing that we found out is really it's critically important to cohort children. So making sure that kids are with the same group of kids, the same group of adults as much as absolutely possible. So it minimizes the risk of exposures to multiple sets of people. So if we were to have a set of circumstances, we're dealing with a smaller group and have the ability to react proactively with that group, rather than trying to figure out how many times over contacts could have happened. And so making sure that our kids are cohorted, making sure that universal masks are being worn, making sure that we minimize the number of people in our buildings, as well as enhancement of our cleaning, sanitizing procedures. What does that system look like? And really, quite frankly, most importantly, education around how can we keep one another safe.
So let me ask you this. Is there a definitive plan right now in terms of what it will look like in the fall there for your district?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we went through our final walkthrough this week, and everything from, like I said, what it looks like to enter a bus, to exit a bus, to enter the building, to transition in the halls, to lunch and breakfast procedures. How do we use our outside recess equipment when weather allows?
Right.
And how do we make sure that gets disinfected in between use? So we have a cohort of students who can go out and utilize that, get that energy break that they need, and yet do it in a safe way. And so we develop procedures. Sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me ask you specifically. So let's talk about staggered start times or staggered lunches, specifically how you keep those kids together. Is that the plan, or will those things take place on your campuses?
So lunches when we start, lunches will literally start in the classroom. Cohorts will go down, do a pick up and go back to their classroom to maintain those cohorts. The only time that wouldn't happen would be if the cafeteria or the space is large enough to have various cohorts with appropriate social distancing. So it really is about keeping that tight group of kids together with the select group of adults who are working with them. As far as transitioning, as long as that group stays together, then that's allowable and considered safe. Again, universal masks during transitions and things such as that.
So, like, for example, when you have a bus driver pick up a group of children at a bus stop, they're obviously all not in the same kindergarten class or same fifth grade class. So, how do you work that situation out? What were some of the concerns you talked about there?
Definitively making sure that all students and staff are wearing masks. When we
Okay.
talked with our experts from the medical field, that was their
Hmm.
key piece of that's what we do in the medical field and in hospital environments to keep people safe. That would be the same process and procedures that you'd use on the bus. And obviously, when students exit the bus, first thing we want to do is to make sure that students' first opportunity wash their hands, and all of those safe procedures that we want to continue to build into our day. So you go in, you wash your hands, you get settled, you transition as a group after you get into that class. But you're absolutely right. Students on the bus would not be the same cohort that would be within the class. The same thing with families entering, being dropped off, and things such as that.